We're going to be doing a quick live demo of HandiCalendar today. I'm not going to go into masses and masses of detail, just purely because it could take hours, and everyone kind of wants to get off and do their own things. Once we've done our live demo of HandiCalendar, we've got a few kind of conversational slides just to run through to have a look at how it supports and how it can build support around individuals. But if anyone wants any more details, any kind of extra support, any kind of free trial, by all means get in touch with Mary and I, and we'll endeavour to get back to you straight away. Mary, do you want to get started? It's 3 minutes past. Let's go.
I think that would be a good place to start then. So good afternoon and welcome to our webinar on HandiCalendar, managing daily routine with remote support, improving outcomes for people with autism, ADHD, dementia, learning disabilities, stroke rehabilitation and acquired brain injury. I'm Mary Sivright, and together with Charlotte Downing, today we will be looking at overviewing HandiCalendar, looking at how to customise your calendar both on a device and also with remote support. So the HandiCalendar advantages improves the user's self-esteem and motivation, improves relationships and saves time for both the user and those that support them. It's an app, so it can be used on a smartphone or a watch, making it portable, improving outcomes and enabling independence. So you can see from the slide that HandiCalendar has been 20 years in development, first launched way back in 2000, and has been widely used in our sister countries of Sweden and Norway before coming over to the UK a few years ago. The key development stages were around 5 to 6 years ago, when HandiCalendar became an app on iOS, and also with the development of Abilia, which enables support staff and administrators to remotely support the user. In addition, HandiCalendar can be added to Apple Watch, and the Android version came out a couple of years ago. So a lot of development over the years, going from a dedicated device to something that can be added to everyday technology. I'm going to hand over to Charlotte. She's going to be looking at a live demo of HandiCalendar and how to customise it.
Okay, I'm not going to be able to see my screen, so if anyone writes anything in the chat box, by all means, shout it out, Mary.
I will do.
So you should be able to see my iPad screen here. If it's all going well, can you see that, Mary?
We've got boys and dogs. Lovely.
Fabulous. That's exactly what I wanted. Okay, so this is the iOS version on my iPad. It's literally just an app that you go straight into. Well, I say you go straight into it. This is how it looks when you first go into the app. It's very, very straightforward, and it just kind of sets out your day. Visually, you can kind of tailor it to an individual's preference, so you can have day, week, month, however you kind of want to look at it. This red line that runs through essentially runs through all of Abilia's cognition products, and essentially it just denotes where you are in the day. We have a 15-year-old who has autism, and Oliver is, kind of super capable, but his concept of time is just absolutely zero a lot of the time. If I say kind of 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, it means nothing to him. It could be, several hours before he appears downstairs. That red line essentially just gives him that kind of tangible view of where he is in his day and what's coming next. As I say, the HandiCalendar can be kind of tailored, and you can look at the view of each day, each week, or each month, depending on how each individual wants to look at it. As Mary's mentioned, it's iOS and Android. This is the iOS version. The Android version does look a little bit different. Essentially, it does the exact same functions, and there's no different functionality. It's just how it's presented is slightly different. This is essentially just a demo account that we use to kind of show how HandiCalendar can work and how it can support an individual. So we've got really kind of basic tasks that are set up, and you can have them set up every single day repeatedly. You can have them if they're a weekly event that someone's doing, travel training if they're going to. in kind of college or any kind of supported internships, things like that, you can add these things in. So this one's done with a checklist. So you just essentially check off the list of things. We've got really basic pictorials on this one. They come as standard with the HandiCalendar. You can also use it to add in your own photographs. We found with a lot of pilots that we're doing at the moment, when individuals use the HandiCalendar, it's so much more interactive once it's got their belongings, their bedrooms, their toothbrush, their everything into it. Once the activities on the HandiCalendar, it's set up like this. You can go back in at any point and you can delete, you can edit, you can modify these tasks and these different events. Once you've got your tasks in there, you can add in extra kind of notes, checklists, as we saw before with the morning routine. One thing that I really, really like, and one thing that has come up that's been quite popular for some individuals, has been the location services. So you can add in an address. So if you've got someone who's going to be going out and beginning travel training and beginning a little bit more independence building, you can pop a postcode or an address in there. It literally comes up with open map, and it will take you straight to that map, and then you can kind of use the directions to get to or from a bus stop, a residence, wherever you need to go. It's very, very straightforward and very easy to navigate. It's literally just kind of clicking on buttons that are quite simplistic. Another part that I really, really love and that I'm really pleased about is that when you put an instruction in, you can also add a URL, so you can direct a person to a specific website or to a specific web page. We've had a few case studies actually that we've been doing in one of our pilots, where individuals have been needing support with things like nourishment and nutrition, and making really good choices with nutrition, but also kind of building those skills so that they can kind of get their own supper prepared and get their own drinks prepared. And adding URLs in means that they can be directed to specific recipes, specific kind of exercise pages on YouTube, for example. And it's very, very straightforward. It's literally just kind of press the button and it takes you. I mean, this one's a generic kind of good food, healthy recipes, but you can sort of specify different recipes, different dedicated URLs, which is really, really helpful, I think, when people are working on those life skills. I'm just going to show you quickly how to add in new activities. If you go into the activities and it's the middle button with the red dot in, sorry, just in the centre. If you go into that, if you have missed any alarms, you can go back in and see which alarms that you've missed and confirm whether you've done those or not. Sorry, bear with me. So if you want to add in a new activity, it's straightforward. So you can do just a one-off activity, an all-day activity, or a recurring activity. If you want to do a recurring one, something like perhaps a dentist visit that happens every 6 months, you can add those in as kind of multiple activities. If you want to do an activity like walking the dog, obviously that's every single day. And if you don't want to add an end date, you don't have to. So this can just go on indefinitely. So we'll do walk dog, type in your activity, add your picture. As I mentioned before, there are standard pictures that come with this. They're quite basic kind of pictorials rather than detailed works of art. If you go to the camera button, it will bring up your recent photos. So we'll go for that one. And it can come up with, as I said before, your belongings. So when we've had pilots up and running, we've found personalised photographs make a huge amount of difference in terms of how often people pay attention to the memo planner and the HandiCalendar, but also how much they follow those instructions. And I think personalising it is probably part of the biggest answer to that. Pop your start time in and pop your end time in. And you can do things like adding in additional notes. So if you've got someone who needs a little bit more support in terms of a staff member who's going to be visiting, or a family member that's going to be visiting, you can add in a note with a little bit of info there. You can add in a checklist to say, have you got, for example, if you're walking the dog, have you got your lead, have you got the keys, have you got your phone? Tick those off as you leave the house, and it means that person's kind of more independently managing that task. You can add in a voice memo. And really, really brilliantly, actually, I had a meeting yesterday with a pilot in AFG in the north of England. They're doing a pilot with our memo planner, but this works in the exact same way, where an individual was really struggling to manage her hygiene and her personal hygiene. And the staff initially kind of built the memo planner and built the calendar around kind of building up those skills and building up those skills and working on them. And the user actually kind of just went, no, I'm not doing that, absolutely not. And so the staff went back to the drawing board and kind of went, okay, right, we'll do voice memos and see if she responds to those. Recorded themselves giving very simplistic instructions, exactly the same instructions that were there in the pictorials. But just the voice memo absolutely sold it. And yesterday in the meeting, the user actually came on screen and said to me, I brush my teeth every day because of this. And I kind of went, this is what we want. It was like, I almost did a victory lap of the house, because it was exactly what we wanted to hear in terms of just making it usable and making it worthwhile in terms of end users actually kind of interacting and beginning to build life skills. So the voice memo is really, really simple. You literally kind of record your voice, talk through. You've got 90 minutes of recording time if you want it. You can have as much or as little information as you want. If you want to record it again, if you've made a mistake with something, obviously press start over. You can play to kind of listen back to see if your instruction works. If it doesn't work, save it and add that instruction straight in. So if you press the alarm button, you can have sort of noise alarms, a silent alarm or no alarm, and you can have kind of different vibration tones as well. If you've got someone who's going to be bothered by sort of pings going off on a regular basis, obviously you kind of set no alarm or silent alarm. Again, totally individualized. On the speech support button, you can choose whether you have speech support. So we've got two voices that are preloaded into HandiCalendar. So there's Peter and there's Rachel. Choose which one you want and choose your preference for how fast they speak, how slow they speak. But it means that the user, when they go into each activity, each one can be read out to them, which is really fantastic. So if you've got someone who won't necessarily read all of the instructions or read all of a checklist, they can have those things put out to them in a quite straightforward way. You can select a reminder. So if you've got someone who might possibly forget an instruction quite quickly or not retain an instruction, you can pop a reminder in there. Again, it's entirely down to each individual and how they want the HandiCalendar to support them and what outcomes they're trying to achieve. Each individual user is so completely unique that we kind of can't say, yeah, this is the way to do it for everybody. But the simple instructions are very, very straightforward. You can add in their belongings, their routine. A lot of the ones with the pilots that we've done since Christmas and just before Christmas have actually gone very, very slowly. Rather than kind of throwing a full day's checklists in, they've kind of gone for a morning activity and an evening activity. And that's been really successful. The other thing that I think a lot of the support workers have found so far has been tying the calendar around things that the users actually really enjoy doing. So we've got one user who really, really likes trains, and they go for a walk most days, and they go down to the train track, they go and kind of observe which trains are going past, and he keeps his checklist of what he can see, what he's seen previously. And they've tied that in with his use of with his love of trains, and they're starting to build those skills on top of that once it's kind of embedded that this is a positive thing. It's it's something good comes from using this HandiCalendar frequently, which is always a really good thing. So yeah, set your activity, set when you want it, and then press done. Oh, sorry, I've wiped that one off. And then once it's done, you can go back to the main screen, and it will just pop up straight on the main screen. Once your activity's in there, as I say, they are completely editable from the HandiCalendar. So this doesn't have to be set in stone. So if you've got someone who has a staff member changing, or if a staff member's off, because of sickness, you can add in activities, but you can also edit the activities that exist there currently. So you literally go straight into the activity, edit the activity, and you can change any part of it that you want to change. So you can change the times, the dates, the routines, to just pass that information over and make sure that the user actually knows what's happening each day and that it is constantly updated. I don't know if any questions have come in, Mary, while I've been chatting away. I literally could chat for about an hour on this, but I'm conscious on time. So I think we've gone through kind of the basic functions on activities. You can go through the settings and you can add in things like timers to activities. So if you've got someone who needs a little bit of a reminder to brush their teeth for 2 exact minutes, there's a timer set for brushing teeth. if you want to add in a timer for 20 minutes of tidying a bedroom or cleaning a kitchen, by all means, kind of add those things in. With the settings menu, you can also kind of set how it looks. So you can go into the calendar and adjust whether you want people to be able to scroll ahead if they're the kind of people that will fixate on if someone will fixate on a date, an arbitrary date, 6 months in advance. You can choose to allow that or not allow that. You can choose to show whether people can edit or not activities, and whether you want all of these functions on there. So you don't have to have timers, you don't have to have basic activities, you don't have to have any of the info on there. If you've got someone who you don't want to be able to kind of put the URLs in, you literally can just switch that function off and switch off whichever function you want for the info menus, and that will take away that facility if you don't want someone to access that. Again, the basic kind of settings are very straightforward. It's kind of tweaking things like alarm sounds, tweaking things like speech support, so adding sort of Peter or Rachel, whichever one you want. As I said previously, you can slow down or speed up the speech, however fast or slow your preference is for it. And that really helps, because I think for some people with processing disorders, they need kind of that little bit of processing time that allows them to kind of register what's been said and what's been done. I'm trying to have a look at what else we've not shown. The settings are, as I say, very, very straightforward, very easy to understand, and very simplistic in how they're kind of laid out. You can adjust the calendar to suit the individual needs. You can add as much in or as little in as you want to add in. You can search for activities. So if you know you've got someone who goes bowling in an afternoon on a Thursday, you can search for that instead of having to search through their calendar. You can search for example, dentists or hairdressers or anything kind of that you need to, and it will just pop up with the options there. I think I've run through most of it. Like I say, I could kind of continue banging on for a long time about this. It's totally personalized in that it can be built around what someone needs. The other thing that I haven't mentioned yet is that it's totally implemented remotely, and supported remotely. So you don't have to be face to face with an individual user to be able to implement it or to continue using it at any point. So you can have, for example, if a service user has a HandiCalendar on their phone, you could have a support worker with the HandiCalendar, the same account on their phone, so that they can kind of maintain that account. But you can also have family members, other support workers, if there's several people kind of doing a different shift around one individual, and it means that everybody can kind of add in whatever they need to add into the calendar, but it means that it's constantly kind of updated and usable, rather than just having a black and white calendar that's there but doesn't get changed unless you're face to face with that user. I think, as I say, I think I've covered everything, but if anyone's got questions, by all means, pop them straight into the chat box and we can go back into there. Right, let me start these again, sorry. Sorry, we've looked at these slides. I'm just going to quickly flick through those. So the way that HandiCalendar is supported, obviously it can be done initially on the actual HandiCalendar on a phone. It can also be supported by through Abilia, which is the cloud account. So, for example, if you've got several support workers all supporting one individual, they could all log into Abilia. I am going to do a really quick screen share of Abilia just to run through how that works. The functionality is essentially the same, so you can add in tasks, edit tasks, and kind of tweak things as you need them. But it means that it's also a way to kind of oversee several accounts. So if you've got a residential facility with 5 or 6 different individuals, you can oversee 5 or 6 different accounts in one place, rather than having to log in separately to 5 or 6 different calendars. I'm going to do a really quick screenshot of this one. I'm hoping this one works as well. Bear with me. Let's have a look. Okay. I don't know, Mary, if you can see this one.
I can, yeah.
Fabulous. Okay, so Abilia works on the exact same concept as the HandiCalendar. You can oversee your week, you can oversee your day, however you want to look at it. It's not It's not necessarily a way to support the user in terms of the user actually using Abilia. We haven't got, I don't think any end users actually going on to Abilia and using this end of the support system. If you've got someone who's very computer literate and they wanted to access Abilia, it's not a problem for them to do that as well. Abilia essentially works in the exact same way. You can add in new activities, go straight into there, and it gives you the same kind of functionality as the HandiCalendar. You can use your own photos, your own words, your own times. You do have the option here on Abilia, which you don't have on HandiCalendar, to say whether you want yourself, so the actual just the user to see the activity, or the user and the support people that will be maintaining the calendar. We've never had anybody who needs it so far, but the function is there if it's required. Again, the same kind of way you can tweak the alarm and vibration. So if you've got someone who says to you, I really, really hate the noise, I love the calendar, I hate the noise, it drives me mad, switch it to a silent alarm, switch it to a vibration. So it comes up with the exact same reminder, the way that a text message reminder will pop up on your screen, but there's no kind of audible alarm going off to wind people up or to get people cross. You can add in speech here as well, so you can add in your speech buttons at any point. And you can record from Abilia onto the HandiCalendar. So if you've got someone who, again, like that user in AFG, sorry, like the user in AFG, if you've got someone who loves voice notes and you kind of go, okay, right, we need to add these in, you can do these remotely and they will pop up onto the HandiCalendar activity, which is really, really useful. On the top, you can edit the recurrence again and have it, kind of frequently or as infrequently as you like. For connected functions, you can just add those straight in as well for your checklists and your notes and the different activities that you want to do. I'm just going to go back and show this one. On Abilia, it does give you a little bit more functionality for support people. So if you're adding in several different staff members or several different support workers, you literally go straight to support person, type in their email address here, and then you invite them, and it sends them directly through email a link to become a support person for this Abilia account, and it gives them the capacity to add to it and to kind of edit the functions. It doesn't have to be kind of long lasting. If you've got staff that are temporary, you can kind of remove them straight away. You can edit them on a frequent basis if you need to, and you can have multiple support persons for one account, or overseeing several different accounts if they need to. So as I say, if you've got a staff member who works with 5 different people, they can have all 5 accounts in one place, and it means that they can make changes, make adjustments to those 5 accounts in one go rather than having to do them individually. Up here, it'll come up with what's new for Abilia. So if you've got new improvements and new modifications that pop up, because we do our own in-house research and development, they will pop up on a regular basis so that the support persons know on a regular basis if improvements are coming or if they're in the pipeline. Again, I could speak for hours about Abilia. I won't, because I'm conscious that we're running out of time, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen and go back to this one. Right, let's go from that. Okay, so we've done Abilia. Again, it works on the exact same way as HandiCalendar, but it offers that remote support, and it is completely remotely implemented, which is obviously very beneficial for some people at the moment with everyone kind of locked down. Mary, I can't remember which one of us is doing this slide. I'm so sorry. I've gone mad. Okay. Mary, I can't hear you. Are you talking?
My apologies. I'm having problems with my connection at the moment.
I know. Do you want me to do this one and we'll wait till you put your connection back up?
Yes, I've got you down for doing this one.
Fab. Okay, so we've got a user called Emma, and we are really, really kind of leaning towards getting as many case studies and testimonials at the moment as we can. We're very interested in feedback and just understanding how end users actually kind of feel about HandiCalendar, how it can support, how we need to improve it, and all the kind of good and the bad. So Emma and her mum have both kind of given comments and ideas about how it's been used and how it's been beneficial. So obviously with Emma, it's building things like independence and taking care of herself and making sure that she knows when she needs to be doing things, when she needs to be taking care of herself with activities. Her mum did say that it's reduced friction, and it means that Emma is very, very independent because of HandiCalendar. It's building those skills. which is always really good feedback. We do have a set of case studies available online. They're not all necessarily the same kind of end users, so there's kind of different end users. So I know that Sam is down south in Kent, and he used his to go to university and managed his medications for university. But again, we have international ones, and we have more that we're collating on a regular basis. So if anyone does have feedback from any tests or any trials, by all means, feedback to us more, because we're always excited about new case studies.
On this slide, we've just got a number of quotes of what do our service users think about HandiCalendar. So probably looking at the time, we'll just mention a few of them. One user loves the real life pictures, being able to use their own pictures, making them familiar with the items that they have got around them. Another, it really helps them with their routine, allowing independence. The fact that HandiCalendar has been a life-changing experience for another. So all really positive comments with regards to making HandiCalendar customised to the individual, making it personal to them so that it feels like it's their own items, own products that they're actually using, which can be so important with so many conditions.
Absolutely. And I think my favourite one of these is actually the real life pictures one in the kitchen, because this kind of reflects how we've been kind of understanding the feedback from our pilot. That the more we personalise it and the more we use it from a personal point of view, the more interactive it actually is. I'm just going to skip to the next one. So the range of cognition products that Abilia can support various different needs and build towards much better outcomes and improving outcomes for individuals. Obviously, it's very tailored to each individual, so we can't kind of say everyone with autism should use HandiCalendar. That, you know, it's absolutely not applicable to a huge array of people. But for some people with, for example, with dyslexia who struggle with coordinating their time and coordinating their resources, HandiCalendar could be really, really helpful. And so it's very dependent on each individual. One of the pilots that we've done in Shropshire, we've actually done individual case studies for each individual user, which has really, really helped us understand that end user, how they will begin to use our products, but also how they will begin to be supported by those products in terms of building their outcomes, because obviously each independent user has their outcomes, that they're kind of the desired outcomes, long term and short term, and understanding in a really, really kind of deep way how we can support those outcomes long and short term is really, really useful. So yeah, we've got the kind of spread between Abilia and HandiCalendar. They both kind of work towards the same end goal, to be honest with you, and just building those routines, reducing things like anxiety, reducing friction, in terms of, you know, when things are happening, when people are visiting, and managing time, which is a really challenging area for some people. We do offer a free demo license, so if you wanted to do a quick trial, we've got a 4-week trial license. If anybody wants one of those, by all means, go to the iOS store or to the Google Play Store, pop in and download your license. If there's any kind of complications with that, we do have a UK-based support team from 9 to 5 Monday to Friday, and we're always willing to help with training and follow-up training sessions. And we do also have a huge amount of YouTube videos on our YouTube channel. They're kind of bite-sized ones rather than huge webinar-based ones like this. And they're kind of 2.5 minutes each, and each kind of runs through a different function for our different cognition range. But essentially, it kind of teaches you how to use it, how to help it function, and how to get through any questions you have. We did want to mention this one. Mary, do you want to do this one? I'm so sorry. I've just realised you're back in the room.
It's been challenging, to say the least. So HandiCalendar is one of a number of cognition solutions that we have at Abilia. And if you would like to learn more about the other solutions that we have, then our colleague Bryn Morgan will be talking at the UK telehealthcare event next Tuesday, which is between 11 and 1 o'clock. And he's also talking at the International Centre for Usable Home Technology webinar showcase, which is next Thursday between 11 and 12:30.
With me, sorry. So yeah, we're going to just run through the chat box quickly. I am conscious that we've run over by a few minutes, and I am very sorry about that. It's me gassing away about HandiCalendar, which I happily would do for the entire day. I'm going to have a quick flick through the chat box and just make sure that we've answered everybody's questions.
So unfortunately, where I've dipped in and out, I can only see the recent ones.
No, that's fine. I've got the chat box, so I'll have a quick look through. Brian's asked, is this for individuals, organisations, or both? So we have a bit of a variety of both, to be honest. We have contact with end users who've kind of come through to us directly and said, we love HandiCalendar for this individual. We've also got local authorities and service providers that we work with. So it's a combination of individuals and organisations. The organisations that we've worked with, we've got a local authority and a couple of charities that we're currently doing pilots with. And we're always happy to kind of run through free demos and have a quick look and see if there's something that we can help you with. Kevin's mentioned, do you have a list of client needs, like challenges, issues, risks and concerns that HandiCalendar can address? Absolutely. So in terms of risks and the kind of types of people, it is very specific to individuals. We kind of talk about autism and ADD and dyslexia and dementia and acquired brain injury. Again, it's totally individual. So for one person with dyslexia, it could be helpful. For another person, it wouldn't be suitable. But generally, anyone with kind of a basic level of need for prompts and reminders that give them the kind of reassurance of where they're going with their day and what they're doing with their day, and building confidence too, to increase those everyday tasks, and to always increase those tasks as well, because there's always the capacity to kind of add those on. I hope that kind of answers that. Catherine's mentioned, is there a difference in cost between HandiCalendar and Abilia? So HandiCalendar is £120 a year for the license. Abilia is a free background support system for HandiCalendar, so you don't have to pay an additional fee for Abilia. Again, you can have sort of 3 or 4 different people, or as many people as you want, supporting one HandiCalendar license. So you don't pay additional fees for parents who want to kind of access their child's HandiCalendar to support that. You would pay extra for those. I think, there we go. Bryn and Mary have both helped with prices as well. And yeah, the app includes Abilia and it supports the background app for free. If anyone's got any more questions, if anyone wants to contact Mary or I, we're always available. We're always happy to have a chat. And we're not gonna kind of ram things down your throat. If anyone wants to ask questions about any of the pilots that we've got going on at the moment, by all means get in touch. We'd love to speak to you. And yeah, thanks ever so much for attending, everybody.